The Weber Cup is Tenpin's answer to the Ryder Cup. Played out on an annual basis, the very best from America challenge the finest from Europe. The Americans have a score to settle. They've lost the last 4 tournaments. Europe are out for a record-breaking 5th consecutive win. The stage is set, the players primed. The 18th edition of this tournament is underway and living up to expectations. For 17 years, the fate of the Weber Cup has been fought over. There's been no shortage of stories to tell, as some of the greatest names in the sport have battled it out, watched by an ever-growing audience. In the first 3 years, USA dominated. They looked unstoppable as they clocked up win after win. However, from 2003, Europe took control, winning their first title, and they went on to claim 3 Weber Cup victories. One of the closest tournaments was in 2006, when USA claimed back the title, winning 18-17, and the trend of 3 consecutive wins continued as Team USA went on to win in 2007 and 2008. In 2009 saw the debut of Martin Larsson to Team Europe. A new team player seemed to be the winning ingredient as they sealed their first victory for 4 years. And the Europeans celebrated success again in 2010 when they were captained by Osku Palermo. 2011 saw a comeback for USA, and in 2012 they also went on to smash Europe by an impressive 17-7 scoreline to defend their title. In 2013, Europe had a point to prove after their thrashing the previous year, and despite 2 perfect games from the Americans, Europe won back the trophy with a 17-14 victory. In the following year, the tournament went all the way. In a dramatic conclusion, Europe took the win 17-16, defending their title in front of a jubilant Barnsley crowd. The drama of 2014 was difficult to replicate 12 months later. Not that Europe cared. They made it 3 in a row, and a year later they added a 4th title. History really does beckon in the 18th edition of the Weber Cup. The pattern is clear for all to see. Periods of American domination followed by the Europeans. It's only stretched to 3 years at any one time. The Americans dominated the first 3 years. Europe came back in 2003. Team USA next. Things tightened up with Europe stringing together 2 wins, followed by a couple from the Americans. But for Team USA, the worrying trend started in 2013. 4 years of European domination. The question is, can Europe make it 5? The lineup is formidable.
I think it's going to be, a great Weber Cup. I think we've got a lot of experience. This lane's very hard to bowl on the very first time, and we know that firsthand. So hopefully they find that out too.
It's always great to win the Weber Cup because, the whole of Europe's pulling for us, and, being able to spend the entire year laughing at the Americans on the tour is the best thing.
I really hope I can keep doing what I did last year and be a helpful part of the team, and I really think we can do it together all over again.
When you leave the Weber Cup the year before, you already start looking forward to the next year if it's happening, if you get picked, if you get a chance to do it again. So it's one of those things like the kids looking forward to Christmas, we're looking forward to the Weber Cup.
Look, Team Europe has won a couple of times in a row now. I think they lead 9-8 overall. The American team won quite a bit there when it first started as well. So it goes in runs, and it's time for the U.S. to have their own run.
I feel like we're going to be very strong, and we can all work well together. So we'll see what happens, and hopefully we can be victorious and bring the cup home.
After the end of last year, we're obviously really disappointed about how things went. And with this new team, I feel like we have a lot more fire, more need to win than last year, and I think we have the guys that are able to do it.
It's going to feel really great, to not only win it for us, but for the United States. It's been a while, but I like our chances this year. We're gonna bring it home.
The magic number here at the Weber Cup is 19. It's the first team to reach that target that claims the trophy. 1 point per match, with the matches consisting of singles, doubles and a baker, a team match involving all 8 players. As for the scoring, it's been simplified. The matches are played over 10 frames, there's no extra shot in the 10th. A strike is worth 30, and of course the magical score still remains the 300 game. The opening session saw the traditional Baker match, all 8 players involved, and it was the Americans who triumphed, and they did so in style, 1 strike short of a perfect game. Next up, Troup, another big performance, this time against European captain Dominic Barrett. The flag waving was put on hold for match 3. Europe struck back via Svensson, a player who's yet to lose a singles match. The sense of relief was short-lived as the American captain Sean Rash hit back with a 3-pin win over Martin Larsson. No matter how tight the margin, a point is a point, and the Americans have taken 3 of the first 4 on offer. The session consists of 7 matches, 2 more about to be played out before the captain's pick. Each team captain picks the opponent, usually based on the form shown earlier in the session. Coming up now, the 5th match in the 18th edition of the Weber Cup, Stuart Williams against Marshall Kent.
I can't believe it's my 7th appearance already. All year we look forward to this event. It's definitely the big deal in bowling right now, and hopefully we can continue our dominance of the event.
Yes, this is my 2nd year here, and last year I was just more happy to be here than anything. But this year it's game on, it's redemption time. I'm not happy with our performance last year, and I'm ready to come back full force.
Last year was fantastic, to win and have Jesper come in as a rookie and bowled incredibly well. I mean, in all the years I've bowled, I think that was the most impressive performance by anybody, never mind a rookie. So yeah, to keep the same team together is really good. But like I say, from our group, we're all pretty close. So if Oscar was to come in for one of us, then I think it would just be business as usual for us.
Our USA team this year I think it's one of the stronger ones that we could have put together. Sean's bowling well, he just won a tour title. EJ obviously off his player of the year run and won a few times this year. I've won a couple times. Kyle's bowling really well as well. So, I think if we can all click this weekend, Europe's in trouble.
Commentary for this match comes from Cass Edwards and Nick Halling.
Well, the action continues here at Weber Cup 18, not Weber Cup 2018, as I said. I got myself a year in advance. I'll be here a year from now, I'm sure. But back to the present day, and 2017, the Europeans have slipped off the pace a little bit here. The Americans came in talking big, talking revenge. After 4 straight defeats so far, they are walking the walk as well as talking the talk. Can Marshall Kent continue their resurgence here? Spent a lot of time in Chicago, Marshall, but these days is based on the West Coast in Seattle. But all these players, apart from Troup, they landed Wednesday morning, so there shouldn't be any jet lag issues. They should be fresh, they should be ready. Basically, with Stu Williams there, going up against Marshall Kent. It's the 2 guys that have had the furthest to travel, because Williams obviously based in Glendale, Arizona these days, which is a long way from Ellesmere Port. He got back on home turf last Sunday. The 36-year-old, very acclimatised, very familiar with this lane, with this format, and the kind of guy for a crisis as well. You've heard players talking about how Stuart Williams is a guy who can step up when something is really needed. Well, he'll be hoping to step up here, and he'll be hoping that that is the start of a revival here for Europe.
Well, he's almost converted the 7-10 split there, didn't he? A great looking strike, and here it goes into the pocket. It's a fraction light, isn't it? And there's the 7 and 10 pin standing up. But they've both gone, and that's 30 pins, and Stuart just loves that.
On another day, though, that is the 7-10 split.
Yeah, that's right. But he's looking to get the crowd on his side as well. But Marshall Kent, a man in rather good form, actually. He's had a couple of wins in the last few months in the States. And he too starts with a strike.
Yeah, another slightly fortuitous one. The pin action taking care of the 7. Yeah, you're right about Marshall. He's in terrific form at the moment, isn't he?
Had a big win in Lubbock, Texas, and won the Oklahoma Open recently against a guy we know, Chris Barnes, from a few years ago, and actually represented USA in the World Games in Poland back in July.
Which is a very prestigious event. You talk about him beating Barnes. You know who he beat at Lubbock as well. That was E.J. Tackett, his teammate here.
Absolutely.
Now then, here's a fella who doesn't boast those kind of titles in 2017, but boasts a big game, and this time the 7 has stood up.
Well, you notice how far left Stuart has started on the approach with his feet, and he's throwing the ball right out to the outside of the lane. So he's basically going left to right and then hooking it back again. This will be hard and fast with a spare ball, which he takes away, which can only be 19 pins on the World Bowling Scoring System. And just to reassure league bowlers out there in bowling land, this scoring system will not be coming to your centre or your leagues at all. It's designed for television finals around the world. It's been used in several major events, including the Weber Cup.
Oh, he got away with that one. Yes. What happened there?
Well, Stuart's not looking very happy because Marshall's just bowled a Brooklyn strike, left-hand side of the head pin.
Marshall Kent just edging it through the opening few frames. More to come after the break in the 18th edition of the Weber Cup. Welcome back to the Metrodome for the Weber Cup. It's the 5th match. Marshall Kent of Team USA has taken a narrow lead, hoping to build on his team's brilliant opening to this year's tournament. The Americans won the opening 3 of the 4 matches at the start of the tournament. Kent's now looking to make it 4 wins from 5. Commentary from Cass Edwards and Nick Halling.
Why did that ball sail away like that? As you say, the Brooklyn side. The strike stands. Williams has got to match that. He with a pretty good-looking pocket hit, and this time it's the 7, or rather the 10 that won't go down. Last time it was the 7, this time it's the 10.
Yeah, it's too wide. He's hit the pocket. He's coming in from such an acute angle that he hits the 1-3 pocket, and it jumps that 6 pin out wide, straight into the gutter and lays flat. That's why the 10 pin's standing up. I mean, it looked a good shot, but when you see it on slow-mo or super slow-mo, you can see exactly what's happened. Takes the spare away.
Well, as we've seen already, spares don't win you points in this year's Weber Cup. But not over yet, because it's pretty early days here, and remember, Marshall Kent got away with a Brooklyn strike last time up.
Yes, it will be interesting to see if he makes any adjustment here or trusts to luck.
Oh, that one sailed on him as well. Well, so he is going to have to adjust.
Yeah, too much back end. He's got the 3, 6, 9 and the 10 there. Yes, he threw it exactly the same and got the same reaction in the back end. These high hooking reactive resin bowling balls, when they come off the oil, off the corner of the oiling pattern and get to the dry boards at the back end there, they just took, look at that.
Yeah, really.
Almost remote control. Not that he wanted to control it there, but it certainly it was like a leg break, wasn't it, for a cricketer?
I think that's why I was concerned in the previous frame. Yes, he got the spare, so he leaves an open frame here as a result of that. But the point was, yes, he got the strike off the Brooklyn, but that should not have been a Brooklyn hit, and he's not been able to solve the puzzle next time up either, and leaving an open frame is really costly.
Well, did you see how far left he stood on the approach to start? And he's thrown it right. Now, he can't go any further left, so it may well be that he's going to have to look at a different bowling ball. And he's having a few words, and EJ's just telling him what to do. It may be that he needs to shoot a harder bowling ball, one that's just not quite so reactive. There's only 1 pin in this match, and if Stuart can hit a strike here...
And he is really having trouble with his corner pins here, Stu Williams. That's 3 in a row now.
Yeah, and it is the angle that he's coming in at. He needs to, if he could, throw it straighter to the pocket, but he's choosing to play left to right and then snap it back. I mean, that really is a big snap, but Look at that 6 minutes, just lays flat in the gutter.
Yeah. I mean, he's lucky still to be in this. I mean, an open frame from his opponent has really helped him out because, as we've seen in previous matches, you rack up 3 spares, especially this early in the match as well. You're not going to win.
Well, especially the way the guys from Team USA have been striking.
Exactly.
Crikey, they've been striking left, right and centre.
But in his last 2 at-bats, to use a bit of baseball terminology, Marshall has been fighting the lane a little bit, and it'll be very interesting to see what he does here. He's had a team talk, so he's got some advice from the guys.
Well, that was better. It was certainly more flush and carried 10 pins away. Stuart's pretty much under pressure there under these lights, but that was a great looking shot from Marshall Kent. Gets him back in the game. Gets his speed up against.
Doing some work though, Cass. He's only just got away with that, you know.
Nick, you're quite right. You know, there's a lot of revs on that ball, and it's coming off the awning pattern. Of course, they're both playing in the same area of the lane, so they're kind of corrupting their shot, if you like.
Well, it is very hot in more ways than one for Stuart Williams down there right now. He needs strikes, and he needs them in a hurry, and that's not going to work. He just can't find it, can he?
No, he can't. He's just snapped that one off his fingers, and it's thrown to the right with lots of rotation on it, but it's gone too far. It's gone out past 10 board, almost out to the channel, to the gutter. And he's fortunate to kick that 10 pin out, and he's got the 2 and the 8 left.
The sleeper, as it's known.
As it's known, yes. That's a good looking spare. But spares, that's 4 in a row. He's got to find a strike shot somewhere.
Yeah, Stu Williams doesn't want to be getting this kind of workout with his spare ball. That's not going to win him a point. The one hope for Stu Williams and Team Europe right now is that Marshall Kent is not firing on all cylinders. It's a bit of a voyage into the unknown every time he steps up at the moment. Now let's see if he can get a good, solid, clean pocket hit here. Now that's more like it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yes, that will certainly cheer him up and put pressure back on Stuart, who's hasn't had a strike for 4 frames. Hard and fast. Still gets a great reaction in the back end, but it's right in the pocket. So it's carried all 10. Stuart's claim to fame in 10-pin bowling, of course, he was a former World Masters winner, but he was the first UK bowler to win a PBA title on the American tour. And that's got him back to a strike. How about that?
Has it come too late, though? We are in frame 6.
Yeah, he's got the bit between his teeth. It's upped his speed here, and it's held pocket, and that's a nice looking shot. But let's face it, both players are not playing on their A game.
Well, Kent got a good pocket hit last time up after a bit of this, that and everything in the 3 frames leading up to that. Let's see if he can stay in the pocket here. That seemed to a little bit slower and a little bit more thought behind that ball, and a really good strike as a result.
Yeah, he's getting some encouragement and advice from the rest of the guys, just sitting off stage there, and 3 strikes in a row. That's very good. It's 5 out of 6 for the American. Pressure here on Stuart to come back with another one. Really can't afford any spare. I mean, a 9 spare against the strikers in an 11-pin deficit. Good shot, Stuart.
He's done it, doubled it up. So he's given himself half a chance, but he needs an error from Marshall Kent to get himself back into this. All he can do is just hang around and hope for the best at the moment. And as you say, he's doing that. But
yeah, he's made the adjustment, and in fact, I think he's probably had a ball change. I didn't notice it, but he's certainly getting a different reaction.
But there are not going to be many points won at this year's Weber Cup with 4 consecutive spares. And that's what Williams has offered up tonight. Kent looking to try and stay in the strike zone, or whatever adjustments were needed, he has certainly made them.
Yeah, as I say, he's been on really tip-top form back in the United States in the recent months, and he's obviously brought or hopes to bring that form to the Weber Cup, which is why he's in the squad. Pressure now back on Stuart Williams.
Well, I think Stuart must know that it's just strike out and hope for the best. He just needs a strike here, and that is probably the end of this point.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the speed again was down a little bit. It hit the pocket nicely, but the speed was down, and it just didn't have the reaction to take that 10-pin out. A little bit light in the pocket. Spare's good, but not good enough at the moment.
Well, a 244 max for Stu Williams.
Yeah, and that's if he strikes off.
That's if he strikes out. Yeah. As it is, this man seems to have come through his wobbles. Made it entertaining for 2 or 3 frames there, didn't it? Well, we never knew quite what was coming next. I don't think Marshall knew what was coming next either, but he's certainly sorted things out. And he's been on the money ever since.
Another great looking shot. 5 strikes in a row. 7 out of 8 for Marshall Kent.
And the last 3 perfect pocket hits.
I think I mentioned earlier that he's actually ranked #1 on the world tour at this particular time. Oh, Stuart's got one. Hits him thin, makes him spin. Only just touched the head pin there. Gets himself a strike. Well, that will please him, but he's still behind, and there's only 1 frame to go. Only just makes the head pin, and see they all tumble around on the left-hand side of the deck.
But I don't think anybody needs to tell Stu Williams. This point has gone, and right now the Americans are still on course to completely reverse what happened a year ago when they trailed at the end of the Friday night session 6-1. Here they're on the threshold of 4-1 ahead.
This to win the game if he strikes.
Was it ever in doubt?
Great looking shot. 6 strikes in a row for Marshall Kent. The game is over. Stuart Williams cannot win. Strike here will give him 244. Kent has already got 249. And that's what it means to him. Oh well.
Well, now strikes are coming from all angles for Williams when it doesn't matter.
Say goodnight, Stuart. 244 and a loss, which is unfortunate. It's a series of 4 spares in the middle of that game, or at the start of that game.
Yeah, it was at the start, wasn't it? He was dead in the water at halfway here, really. As it is, Kent, for all those strikes, a couple of them were a little bit here, there and everywhere, but I'll tell you, the second half of this game has been absolutely solid. He finishes by leaving a 10 in the corner, but that won't matter.
It says he's got to have practice on that 10-pin. He's shot so many strikes.
It's the
spare for 268.
Plastic spare, and a 268 will do it. A win by 24 pins for Marshall Kent. And just like that, the Americans have cruised to a pretty comfortable point. Stuart Williams, hamstrung by those early spares, could never get back on terms. And the man from Seattle was able to come away strong in the second half of that one to win it 268-244 and give the Team USA a very healthy looking lead. 4-1 this.
Marshall Kent strikes another blow for Team USA. They now lead 4-1 in this series. Comment and reaction after the break. Marshall Kent guiding his team to yet another point in this year's Weber Cup. There's an ominous amount of red on the leaderboard. Good news if you're American. They've now won 4 of the opening 5 matches. For Europe, who've won this tournament for the last 4 years, the pressure is on. Marshall Kent showing no mercy in his performance against Stuart Williams. The American is now talking to Hannah Wilkes.
Marshall, you had a bit of a point to prove after a Weber Cup last year that didn't go as well as you'd liked, and I think it's safe to say that's the start you wanted.
Absolutely, that's the start we wanted as a team. Last year, I just wasn't me. I wasn't confident, wasn't throwing it very well. This year, it's a new me, new team,
and it's going to be a different result this year.
You had that open frame in the third. What changes did you make to get over that?
You know, I didn't throw it very well the second and third frame. I got away with the Brooklyn. I just made a move based on gut instinct, and it happened to work out, and threw the rest of them.
You mentioned that you seem much happier this year, and the whole team does. That's something that's very obvious to us watching. How great is your team spirit at the moment?
We just gel so well together. And then last year, I think there was kind of an age difference between like Parker and Wes and Kyle and I. So this year we're all much closer. We all bowl everything together, and that helps our chemistry as well.
Certainly has so far. Best luck for the rest of the evening.
Thank you.
Time then for match number 6, Jesper Svensson against Kyle Troup. Commentary for this match comes from Cass Edwards and Nick Halling.
Two good mates, these two. Very good mates indeed, and they've been very successful as well, winning earlier this year at Maine the title as a doubles partnership, but here they are on opposite sides of the board, so friendship put on hold for the next 10 or 15 minutes, and the need is great here for Team Europe. Only this man has managed to pick up a win for them so far, Jesper Svensson. And he has such a terrific record as well in the Weber Cup, but he's up against a guy who's red hot for the Americans in Kyle Troup, who's already bowled a 278 tonight to dispose of Don Barrett, the European skipper, as they just go through their practice balls. But the need for Team Europe is great, and that's an understatement.
It's certainly more than essential, Nick. Let's just talk about Jesper. 5 singles matches last year, won every single one of them and averaged 255. Kyle Troup also played 5 singles matches, won 3 and lost 2, but also averaged 250. So they both very much like this lane. As you said, they doubled up in the USA in a doubles tournament. One left-handed doubles player, two-handed player, and one right-handed, and they stormed the field and won the title. Both won a PBA title. It's the first time that two-handers have done that, and it's quite unique.
Yeah, they're a devastating partnership, no question about that. Here's the man from North Carolina, the only man not in the current world rankings in the top 10, but that's because primarily he doesn't travel very much. This is a rare excursion out of North America for the Weber Cup for Kyle Troup. You talk to him about why he's come over here. It's the pride of representing your nation.
Also, Nick, from what I remember, last year at the Weber Cup was the first time that Kyle had been outside the States. He had to apply for a passport.
This is not a happy, smiling group. The pressure is on, and it's on the shoulders of Jesper Svensson. I would hesitate to say this perhaps this early in the tournament, but if Svensson is beaten here, it really does make the rest of this year's Weber Cup ominous.
Once again, we've got a freshly dressed lane. It's been re-oiled down to 44 feet. So Kyle is going to be playing on the right-hand side on his own, and Jesper on the left-hand side on his own. So
it's going to be high scoring, isn't it?
I was going to say maybe it's time for a 300 game, perhaps.
Could be a double 300 game, and we have a shootout. Can you imagine that? Not impossible the way these two are bowling.
Well, certainly the way the lane is playing, and this lane pattern, the condition that's been put down is certainly allowing for high scores.
Coming up after this, we've got the captain's choice, where the opposing captain throws a player on. I suspect the choice is going to be a fairly, well, it's a wide one really, isn't it, for the Americans, because all bar Svensson have struggled for the Europeans. I don't suppose that the captain's choice will be, I know, we'll give it to Jesper Svensson because he's the only one that's won. He could be about to win a second one here, but that is for the future. It'll be very interesting to see who does get the call, but Here is a man facing real pressure, and here is a man who would love to just keep turning the screw ever tighter. So it's Kyle Troup for the United States against Jesper Svensson for Team Europe, with the Americans 4-1 up. You knew that was coming.
Well, it was pretty straight down the line. As I say, it's fresh oil, so he's not going to be looking for too much hook. Just turns up nicely into the 1-3 pocket, carries all 10. That's the way to do it. Keep going.
Well, he took all 10 in all his Baker shots. 278 in his win against Don Barrett. Now, what can the left-hander come up with? He also bowled a 278 in his win over E.J. Tackett. That gives you an indication of the quality of these two. There go the 10 from these two. This is one of those matches that may well come down to a little bit of luck. Who gets the pins carried?
Yeah, we've seen quite a few corner pins stand up off apparently good-looking shots, and as you say, Nick, it may just be a corner pin that can either win or lose this game for one of these two players.
Well, they're both bowling so well, you can't see where the error is going to come from. So it is going to come down to a little bit of misfortune or good fortune, depending on your perspective.
Well, that's right, yes, and with the naked eye, sometimes you can't see what's gone wrong when the ball hits the pocket. You really need it on a super slow-mo just to see what's happened. Oh, dear, oh dear.
I tell you.
Hard and fast, hit it light in the pocket, but there was so much momentum there. Those pins just went crazy.
Well, one of those pins looked like it was going to go into orbit if it hadn't been... look at that. Terrific pin action from Troup. He's got the advantage here of going first, because every time he strikes, that just forces a little bit more pressure onto the shoulders of this young man.
Yes, it's actually, it would be catch-up time all the time, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm. That's exactly the situation. I'm sure he'll just stay in his own little zone, just like that. The great ones do that. They don't worry about what else is going on all around them. They just concentrate on their own game, and there is no question that this young man has all the tools to be a true great in this sport.
Well, actually, he's already won the Tournament of Champions in the United States at 22 years of age,
Exactly.
which is crazy.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? I mean, you're talking about a guy that's going to be around a long, long time.
Absolutely, yeah. And Svensson was one of my hot picks for possibly a 300 game this year. Svensson from the European side and E.J. Tackett from the Americans. They were my two predictions.
So Troup looking to keep the streak going. He does just that.
He looks all business, doesn't he?
They have all day, these Americans. There's been no laughing and joking. Well, very minimal, but when they've been up and it's ready to go to work, they have been very intense and extremely focused, all four of them.
Just as a little side, I was told by the lanesman Ross Gibson that these pins are the same pins that were played in last year's Weber, but they were put away for 12 months in the dark cupboard and they've just come out, so they're exactly the same pins as last year.
And I tell you, the way these two are smashing, and those pins will want to go and lie down in a darkened room for another 12 months at the end of this, because they are getting battered by these two in particular.
Very powerful shots from these 16-pound bowling balls. The expression on his face, I knew it was going to go.
It's absolutely impossible after 3 frames to predict a winner of this one, because that is 6 near perfect balls that we've seen so far. And every time that Svensson matches him, Troup's got to find another one.
Nip and tuck.
Well, the streak ends a little bit wide as it approached the head, the pocket rather.
Yeah, we'll see. It hit the headpin light and didn't carry the 10 pin in the corner. Reason being that the ball is deflected off onto the 3, which has pushed the 6 pin sideways and missed the 10 pin.
So the spell is broken here. tell you, all 8 players have been sparing pretty well. It's amazing how small those single pins can get sometimes when you're 60+ feet away from them.
It's actually quite surprising, Nick, the amount of games that have been bowled. We've only seen a few spares.
That's right.
You know, the majority of the games, the majority of the frames are strikes.
So a chance here for the youngster to get his nose in front and potentially keep his record of never having lost on this lane in singles play alive. How the Europeans would love that. That'll do it. There we go. I tell you, this youngster is on fire, and now the pressure really is on Troup.
Jesper Svensson on track to record a second win for Europe, but a long way to go. More to come after the break. Welcome back to the Weber Cup here at the Metrodome. It's the USA against Europe for the biggest team prize in the sport. The Americans had a near-perfect start, taking 4 of the opening 5 matches. Marshall Kent is the latest to record a victory. Svensson for Europe is hoping to reverse the trend. He's made a good start against Kyle Troup. Commentary from Cass Edwards and Nick Halling.
Cool as a cucumber, isn't he?
He's got a great temperament. It's not a bad nickname at all. Just listen, it's deadly quiet here. Big ball this for Troup. Well, he's been done by that 10 in the corner once again. Looked like it was a little bit flush on the head pin there.
Absolutely battered that shot. Yes, it blasted the 1-3 pocket, didn't he? Let's have a look. See where it goes.
Let's see. Is it? No, that's just a bit unlucky, isn't he?
Yeah, it wasn't quite right, and that's if it's not quite right, you're not going to kick that 10 pin out. Hard and fast, as this spare ball will be.
Well, that's 2 spares then.
Yep, sliding behind.
Looking good so far for Jesper Svensson, who stayed with his opponent when he went off so fast. Now he's moved into a position where he's got a little bit of breathing room and he can just maintain that separation with another strike here. Still on course for a 300 here as well.
I wasn't going to mention it, but I think it may have been mentioned already.
You bowlers never do. You don't like to jinx each other, do you? But some of us are starting to think about it.
Well, he's halfway there. The 300 game under this scoring system is only 10 strikes. He's got 5. Absolutely lined up. Great looking shot. Carries all 10. Blasts the 1-2 pocket.
Yes, in regulation scoring system, you have to get 10 strikes, then the 2 additional balls. So you've got 12 strikes for a perfect 300 game. Here you just need the 10. Well, he's not thinking of a perfect game. He's just thinking of trying somehow to stay in this match. He's got to get a strike. Well, now that 10 is gone.
Well, it keeps him in touch, but Svensson has the advantage. He's struck all the way through 5 frames, and he's still got 1 frame to bowl to level it up.
Well, it'd be very simple if you offered Jesper Svensson a chance to take the point. He would just say, I'll have it any way I can get it. He's been perfect through 5 frames. Here is frame number 6. That too is perfect. Boy, he's flawless.
You can see why he's had so much success on the American PBA Tour. The American bowlers out there think he is the greatest thing almost since sliced bread. And what a future he's got at 22. He's already won the Tournament of Champions, which is the major tournament in the United States for the pros.
Yeah, that's a competition you take years to build and develop towards. It is so unusual to have somebody coming, especially out of a European country as well as he has.
And especially a two-hander.
Yeah, everything's and a lefty as well. That, I think, is probably, good night as far as this point is concerned.
I think you could be right, and it's only frame 7, but 3 spares. He loses 11 pins every time to Svensson.
I can't see where Jesper Svensson is going to leave 3 spares in what remains of this match. That's the only way he's going to get back in. I mean, an open frame would, if it happened, obviously change things dramatically, but there's been just an air of utter brilliance coming from this man.
Well, we certainly hope he can keep it going. I mean, Troup hasn't missed the pocket yet, and he's trailing. And there you can see on Jesper's ball the amount of oil that he's wiping off before he starts his shot. He doesn't want excess amounts of oil on the ball as it comes off the oiling pattern and gets onto the dry lane. He wants the ball as clean as he can and as dry as he can, and that sets up the reaction in the back end.
There's another. It's still on. That's 7 in a row.
And all of a sudden the crowd has realised what's going on, and they've woken up as well.
Well, this is what Guy Kaminski was saying. Get the crowd involved. Well, Svensson has certainly done that. And more importantly, as much as we're all thinking, hello, have we got a 300 game cooking here? This gets Europe right back into play.
And that was a lucky strike, I'm afraid. It was light on the head pin, left the 5 and the 10 pin, but they flew around and got the strike. So it's 7 in a row for him.
There's another one for Kyle.
Kyle comes back with another one and goes through the 200 barrier like everybody is.
You know, you talk about luck, and you're quite right to do that, but luck in this game balances out. Like the pins remember, don't they?
They certainly do, yes. It's no good getting annoyed about it because you may have some bad luck, but your opponent will certainly have his fair share as well. Now, Svensson's got to be thinking about this. He's got 3 shots left.
Well, one step at a time. If he gets the strike here, barring a calamity, that will seal the point. There'll be no way back. And as you say, after that, that's when you really start to let the imagination run riot. Has he getting another one? Yes, he has. That's game, set and match in terms of this point, but we are close to a 300 in this year's Weber Cup.
Well, we've had 6 in the history of the Weber Cup. Tommy Jones has had 4. Chris Barnes had 1 and Paul Moore had 1. But Jesper Svensson is just showing everybody how good he actually is. And as I say, he's highly respected in the United States for such a young professional.
Now, while all this talk has been going on about the Swede, we ought to make the point that this is not exactly a shabby effort coming in from Kyle Troup. And I guess if you're going to lose, you want to lose because the other guy's just been perfect. That'll be a little bit more palatable if a defeat ever is something you can swallow easily. I mean, he hasn't done a lot wrong.
He's failed to strike on 3 frames. He hit the pocket on those 3 frames and left 3 10 pins, and that's all he's done. It would have been so close. They could have both been on 9 strikes in a row.
Well, that's what this man's trying to achieve here. He is still on for this and needs 2 more. Oh, what a shame. What an anticlimax that was. The 7 didn't want to know.
And to all intents and purposes, it looked exactly identical to other strikes.
There's nothing you'd change about that.
It looked pretty good to me. I mean, the 4 pin just bounced around it, didn't it?
Told you, the pins remember. He got a lucky one earlier.
So it's your fault, Nick Halling.
I'll give him a few lessons after the show. It shouldn't affect things, although Troup, of course, will want to just throw down a strike here. But he could leave an open frame and still win. Svensson. I don't think there's much danger of that happening, but Troup will at least want to go out on a high note. I mean, he's going to bowl a 267 here with a strike and come up on the short end of this.
Yeah, I said at the start of the tournament, people who shoot 220s and 230s will not be in the game.
There it is, 267.
Massive game to lose.
That would have won every other point of this Weber Cup.
We don't want to see Jesper bowl 8 and miss them, do we? Because we'd have a tie.
Well, that would just be too silly.
It's a funny old game.
But if he bowls an 8, we should throw him off the team. That's how confident I am that he's not going to bowl 8.
If he throws an 8 and gets a 1, that would be good enough.
No, that'll do.
We wouldn't throw him out.
That'll do. We'll let him in. We'll let him stay.
I think another strike here just to finish it off.
Wouldn't be a shock. Wouldn't be a shock at all. There you go. So close to perfection as it is. 289. Good enough to keep Europe right back in business here. Congratulations from his good buddy Kyle Troup. What a performance from Jesper Svensson. If you thought the youngster of the quartet might be the weak link, you just found out quite the opposite. He is the tough guy of Team Europe, and he has dominated this match. So close to a 300 game as it is, he'll have to settle for 289 to shoot down Kyle Troup's 267, with the American lead trimmed 4-2.
Now, yes, but listening to Tony and Guy there, you looked a little bit coy, a little bit embarrassed, especially by the name Baby-Faced Assassin, but what a game!
Yeah, I mean, it's great. Seems like my teammates are a little bit of slow starters, but I'm still confident that they're going to show up here, and hopefully we can manage to end this session good and still have a positive feeling going into tomorrow.
Did thoughts of a 300 game, a perfect game, start going through your mind a little later on towards the end of that match?
Well, you know, I still had to show up the last couple of frames, so I didn't really think that much about it, but of course to do 300 in front of this crowd would have been great, but still have a few games to go.
You certainly seem to have woken the crowd up a little bit. Are you confident that they'll be giving a much more support in the captain's pick match next up?
Absolutely. I mean, they're great as awesome, so as always. So I'm pretty sure they're going to do what they can to help us.
Well, I'm pretty certain you won't be the captain's pick, so enjoy putting your feet up.
Thank you.
2 blue blocks on the leaderboard, both delivered by Jesper Svensson. His win over Kyle Troup vital as Europe attempt to stop American domination in this session. Next time out, the singles matches continue, but with a difference. The opposing captains get to pick the player. A host of questions to answer as the two men come under the spotlight in the Just Eat Weber Cup.